Hello friends, neighbors, John, your neighbor here. Welcome to the Nook. It is Sunday, so we're going to shoot some samples, and I thought, because I put a few Irish thoughts out there, that I would be moving into other samples. However, Sean gave me an incredible number of samples, and I was wondering about this one. This is Bushmills 12-year-old single malt, and it's just new in my market, and it's on sale for about another week at Wine and Beyond. So I thought, you know what, I better talk about this one while it's still available, because so often I'm talking whiskey no one can even get. So if you have any Bushmills, I've got the 12-year-old here, then I've got this Prohibition Irish whiskey, and then this is a single bottle. I think one in Kensington Market in Calgary had it. It's Domagen specialty. They're an independent bottler, and it's a younger, like 6-7-year-old, but it's finished in some unique, ratafia champignon or champagne. Kind of a thing. I've read a bit online, don't know much, but if you have any Bushmills, why don't you pour it around and come on back. 3, 4. So as I said in the opener, what really drove me to think these samples today is this 12-year-old. It is a single malt, so it's all barley. It's got an age stamp, 12 years, and when you go on to their website, it says that it's spent almost all of its life in either bourbon, ex-bourbon, or an ex-sherry casks, and then they combine them and marry them in Marsala wine casks between 6 and 9 months. Now, it's low ABV, it's 40%, so it's got to be chill filtered, and I don't remember if it said anything about color. I think it did. I think it did say natural color. I'll put that down below, but there was something kind of cool about that. I mean, the whole thing is cool. Those are nice casks. I like marrying a blend together in a cask, like Marsala cask. So I'm interested to see how this Bushmills 12-year-old comes together. So let's go. On the nose. Oh, that is a good nose. It is rich and fruity. Some really nice light wine notes. Yeah, that would be a brighter, like a almost what would that be for a brighter, almost stone fruit? That'd be a little sweeter, but I would say some stone fruits in there. Yeah, it's got like a white wine type fruiting. So it's a bit dry. It's not that dark red like there's sherry in here, but it's, I can't remember. I'm not a big wine person, what Marsala wine is like, but this is very nice and fruity. There's even a little light orange. Yeah, a little light orange in there. And then, like I said, some of that bright, a little bit of raisin, but brighter than that, a lighter fruit, little stone fruit, so maybe a bit of peach, but that's very sweet for me. I wouldn't go that far yet, but nice nose. Let's jump in the palate. Sláinte. That's quite light in the palate. Again, light malt, a little bit of, cake body vanilla cream in there, but it's got more fruits again, light and fruity. That is absolutely here what I'm getting on this. Try another quick sip. Second time in, I can get a little more out of the cask and a little bit of the sherry influence. I would say the bourbon and the Marsala are stronger for me. It's sweet, it's light, it's fruity, it's refreshing. Second sip takes me a little more into its depth. Maybe some light, that cask, a little light chocolates, that kind of thing. But it stays pretty close to fruity, vanilla, and more in that way. Perhaps with time, because I just poured it out, it's going to, yield another layer to it. Finish is nice. It's reasonably clean. Doesn't really go one way or another. All the way through, I would say this is a bright, fruity single malt. Tough call for me on whether it's worth, well, I'm sure it's worth the $65 these days in whiskey prices. But you know what, 40%, it's got a few knocks against it. It does have a 12-year-old age stamp on it, but that's a sale price right now. If you like Bushmills, this is a pretty good dram, and I would definitely recommend giving it a try, especially when you can get it for a good price. I'll have to come back and see whether I'm going to go get a bottle. I might. It's pretty tasty. Next sample is the Bushmills Prohibition recipe. And this was, made, I think at a time or an acknowledgement when Peaky Blinders was really, really popular. But I think even on their website, it was like by order of Thomas Shelby, that kind of thing. And it is 46%. And this one, I believe, is only ex-bourbon cask. And it is natural color and non-chill filter. And I really like that it's got non-chill filter in it. I've never tried it, so I don't know if I like the whiskey. I just like that part of its history. Now, it's an Irish whiskey, so that means it's going to be some combination of malt and grain. I don't know if there's pot still in here. If there is, please let me know. But it is a whiskey now, not a single malt. And so it's definitely going to have some other grains in here. See how it goes. Whether that's a mental image or not, I'm getting a little bit of grain note. This is a nice nose. It reminds me a bit of Yellow Spot. Like, it's just really sweet and inviting. And not sweet like confectionery sugar, that kind of thing, but like really nice, ripe, but lighter fruits. This has got a little more toffee, a little more caramel. Like, it's got kind of those notes already kicking around. And a bit of graininess to it right away on the nose. Let's try it on the palate. Sancha. This is ex-bourbon all the way. In terms of that, I got some oaking, I got sweet, I got vanilla, I got caramels. A little bit of spicing, but almost from youth. Or maybe the strength, right? Because we're 6% higher. It's in the early finish that I can get that non-chill. It's a little bit chewier, like it's got a little more oil heft going on. This was nice in the palate, absolutely nice in the mouth, but this has got just a little more in the back palate. Gonna try another sip. It's also pretty light. It doesn't have near the fruit depth or even layers that I'm getting on the 12-year-old, but it is spicier, chewier. It's got lots more caramel, vanilla, even a little more oak. Like I would venture to port it blind that there might even be a little virgin oak in here. I don't think there is, but it's got a little more of that kind of oak presence for me, and it leaves me a little more in that direction, like salted caramel type note, whereas this is far more refined, lighter, lightly creamy, and much more fruits than the Prohibition. They might appeal to different people. This is exactly what you'd think. Bit of a bruiser, ex-bourbon notes, whereas this is light, fruity, that kind of thing. So the final sample is this independent bottler, which I did find it on Kensington Wine Market's website, so I imagine that's maybe how it got in Sean's collection. I'm going to try it again, but I'm sure I've butchered the name several times. Dumangan Specialties, that's the independent bottler, and this is a Bushmills single malt finished in Ratafia Champignon casks. It is a 47.3%. I saw this is also natural color and non-chill filter. And what I read about that particular liqueur almost is that it's sort of a combination from some type of brandy and some type of champagne, or the juice to make champagne. It can be made with different grapes. Really, you should go on your own YouTube hunt to check that out. But it is an interesting release in that it's difficult to obtain that alcohol outside of the Champagne region in France. So that's kind of cool. 47 some percent, so we're even a little higher than Prohibition. Let's see how it is. Oh, that is wildly different. That is... Okay, so at first I was like, oh yeah, we're getting some, ex-bourbon, whatever, and then there is... Wow, there's a sourness, a sourdough, mushroom. Yeah, I can't. I'm really trying to go for it because it is not a common note that I have had in whiskey. The reason why I said mushroom, I got maybe a little bit of that in that bare face with those mushrooms, but doughy and sour. Not even specifically sourdough, which is a nice almost rye note. We're not quite there. It's something else. Well, I think the nose, however, I can't seem to get to describe it, would be a hot cold nose. By that I mean some people will be intrigued. This is unique. I've never had anything like that in whiskey. And others would be like, did that sample go bad? It's that kind of powerful, pungent, You know, like blue cheese, like I now like it. There was a time in my life I hated it, that kind of thing. Like it's a real pungency to the nose. Let's get in on this palate. Sancha. Okay, even more of that in the palate. This is a wildly unique, and now that I've said it, it's got that slight fungus, slight pungent cheese. I expected, because what I'd read was that it was that type of brandy. I thought we were going to get like really sweet fruits, like brandy, that thick, syrupy, but that is not what I'm getting. What I'm getting all day long here is a lot of that umami mushroom note that I was getting from that bear face, but even more. It's going to take me some time. Again, hot, cold, absolutely. Would I recommend this to someone off the street? Hey, do you like this whiskey? I absolutely wouldn't. I think this would put most people off because of that pungency, that strong, strong body note. However, it is very unique. I'm really happy that Sean shared this with me, and I will enjoy it, small sips over a little while, because I'm on this journey and I'm trying different whiskeys. Thanks for joining me here. I hope some of this insight might have helped you decide, do you want to get a Bushmills, and can you get the Prohibition, which is really ex-bourbon and got some nice heft, a bit of grain, or do you want to try the new 12-year-old with some really rich fruits? As I said, it reminds me of a weaker Yellow Spot, which is okay, because Yellow Spot's one of my favorite Irish. Thanks for joining me. Hope you guys have a great week. And out here, as the weather warms up, I hope that warms you up and your family and kids or relatives or whatever it takes as we thaw out from this winter. You guys take care.